Hi everyone, how are you today? I hope everyone's fine and ready for lesson 2. So this is lesson 2 and we are going to start with checking your homework. So please open your workbook first on page 61. Now please look at the screen and check your answers. I hope all the prepositions are correct. And about the spelling, I really hope you didn't forget about those rules that we mentioned last time. For example, here with smoke, what happens? What happens with verbs ending in E? That's right, that's right. Whereas in SMOKE, in the infinitive form, when you add ing, you drop the E every single time. So I hope you've done very well. And also with the matching exercise where you had to match a line in A with a line in B. Make sure you correct all your answers. Well done. Now let's move on to page 62. Now please look at the screen and check your answers for exercise number 4 on page 62. So you can find all the positive sentences, the questions, and the negative sentences. Make sure all your answers are correct. Good job, everyone. Now let's move on to your notebook, where you can find the other part of the homework. So you had to write questions and answers about the pictures on page 79 in your book. And I gave you some words to help you with that. So please look at the screen and check your answers, the questions and the answers as well. Well done, everyone. So you had to write questions and answers about the 6 pictures on page 79 in your book, and I gave you some words to help you with that. So please look at the screen and check your questions and answers. And in some cases, of course, there's more than one answer possible. I hope you've done very well. Good job, everyone. I promised you last time that we were going to write a short test with the prepositions. So now I want you to open your notebook and copy what you can see on the screen. These are questions. The reason why I didn't write the beginning of these questions is because they all begin with, what do you usually do? So what do you usually do? Holiday, school, home, a party, the kitchen, the bus. I want you to copy these words and write the correct prepositions before these places. Off you go. Right, now please check your answers. So look at the screen and check your answers. I hope you haven't made any mistakes. But now I want you to ask your teacher to put you in pairs because you are going to ask and answer these questions in pairs. Okay? So I want you to ask your partner, for example, what do you usually do on holiday? Okay, and then your partner is going to answer your question and ask you the next one. What do you usually do at school? Okay, so just think of nice and simple answers in pairs just for about 2 minutes. Off you go. Well done, everyone. There were some very nice conversations there. So let's just go back to this question, what do you usually do at home? Are you at home right now? Of course you aren't. So what we mean by this question is what your partner usually does at home in general, right? Not right now, but when he or she is at home. And here are some of the possible answers. I watch TV, I talk to my family, I have dinner, I help my mother. These are just examples. So, what verb tense do we use when we ask the question, what do you usually do at home? That's right, that's the present simple. And what do we use the present simple for? When do we use the present simple? That's right, when we talk about things in general. Repeated actions, daily routine, things that sometimes happen or they happen all the time. But the most important thing is that it isn't happening right now at the time of speaking. So the next question would be, what are you doing now? When we ask this question, what are we interested in? We want to know what the other person is doing right now at the moment. So if I ask you this question, what are you doing now? What answers would you give me? That's right. For example, we can say, I am listening to the teacher. That's right. Or what else? Or I am learning English. Good. Or I am sitting in the classroom. Of course, these are just examples, but what's more important is that all these things are happening right now. So what do we call this verb tense that we use to express or to describe activities that are happening right now? That's right. This is this new grammar structure that we learned about yesterday. It's called present continuous. That's right. That's right. So let's have a closer look at the differences between the present simple and the present continuous. So what is the main difference? If you think about the question, what do you usually do at home? Are you doing it right now? No, you aren't. But that's what you do in general when you are at home. But right now, where are you? You are at school, that's right. So you are listening to the teacher, you are learning English, and you are sitting in the classroom. Right, so what is the helping verb? What is the auxiliary verb in the present simple? That is my next question. That's right. Do or does. When do we use does? When the subject is he or she or it. That's right. So look at this question. What do you usually do at home? How can you change that? Let's change the subject. Let's say the subject is she. So what do you say? What does, that's right, she usually do at home? Good. So does. Do or does. And then which form of the main verb do we need in the present simple? That's right, just the infinitive. Exactly. But I'm sure you remember that in the third person singular, when the subject is she, for example, like I watch TV, let's change the subject and say the same sentence with she watches TV. That's right. So we use the infinitive, but it's very important to remember that when the subject is he, she, or it gets an S ending. That's right. So I talk to my family becomes she talks to her family. Good. What about when I have dinner? She has dinner. That's right. And I help my mother. She helps her mother. Good job. So let's move on to the present continuous. What are you doing now? Let's change the subject here as well. So let's say this time the subject is he. What is he doing now? That's right. What is he doing now? Because the helping verb in the present continuous is the verb to be. That's right. And which form of the verb do we need in the present continuous? The ing form of the verb all the time. It doesn't change in any person. So let's look at the helping verb. What are you doing now and what is he doing now? What if the subject is me? So let's say I. What am I doing now? I'm talking to you. So I am listening to the teacher. What if the subject is she? She is listening to the teacher. Or if the subject is he, then he is listening to the teacher. I am learning English. What about him? He is learning English. That's right. And I am sitting in the classroom. He is sitting in the classroom. Sitting in the classroom. Good job. All right then, so I'm sure this short revision helped you to see the main differences between the present simple and the present continuous. And now let's move on to the next exercise. I really hope that this revision helped you to see the differences between the present simple and the present continuous. So now I want you to open your notebook and copy all these example sentences, questions and example sentences in your notebook. So my question is, how many types of questions do you know? WH questions, that's right. And what about the other type of questions? Yes or no questions. Yes or no questions. I really hope you remembered these. So, WH questions, can you give me an example in the present simple? That's right. The one that we mentioned earlier, what do you usually do at home? That's right. So what do you usually do at home? And what about in the present continuous? A WH question in the present continuous? What are you doing now? Good. What about a yes or no question? Why is it called a yes or no question? Tell me. Give me an example and maybe that can help. So give me an example in the present simple, a yes or no question. Do. Do you listen to music at home? For example, do you listen to music at home? Are you at home right now? Of course you aren't. And do you listen to music when you are at home? That is my question. How can you answer that question? You can say yes, I do, or no, I don't. That's right. So we always answer a yes or no question with a short answer, which in the case of the present simple is either yes I do or no I don't. We use the same helping verb. Look at that. Just a few minutes ago we talked about the helping verb that we use in the present simple, which is do or does. It depends on the subject. So when we ask the question, do you listen to music? The answer can be yes I do or no I don't. So you have to answer, you have to give the short answer with the same helping verb. What about a yes or no question in the present continuous? Give me an example. In the present simple, the helping verb is do. What is the helping verb in the present continuous? The verb to be. So let's say if the subject is you, then we say are you listening to music? Are you listening to music? I really hope you aren't. So there are not so many options here, but we have two types of answers. We can say, if the answer is positive, we say yes, I am. If the answer is negative, then we say no, I'm not. Are you listening to music? Yes, I am, or no, I'm not. And as we said earlier, the helping verb in the present continuous is the verb to be, which is are when the subject is you. So when you ask the question, are you? The answer can be yes, I am, or no, I'm not. So then again, you need to answer that question with the verb to be, a short answer with a verb to be. Now please copy these questions and answers in your notebook so you can do your own revision at home. And then please open your book on page 141, again at the back of your book where you can find the grammar reference. Right, so this is page 141. I just wanted to remind you that you can always go back to this grammar reference if you need any revision about the present continuous, the positive and the negative sentences, how to make questions. And now please look at this yes or no question part. This is where you can find some more information about the yes or no questions. And basically, just a few examples here. Are you having a good time? Yes, we are. And is my English getting better? Yes, it is, because in this question we talk about your English. That's why the subject is it in the short answer here. So yes, it is. And then are they having a party? No, they aren't. So make sure you agree the subject with the verb to be in your short answer. So that's right. That's about the yes or no questions. And if you go down at the bottom of the page, you can also find a short revision of the differences between the present simple and the present continuous. So here in number one, It's about the present simple that we know that describes things that are always true or true for a long time. You can find a few examples here that you can check at home. And in the second part, you can find a short revision of the present continuous, which describes activities happening now and temporary activities. So don't forget about this grammar reference part when you go home and do your homework and prepare for the next lesson. Now let's go back to page 100. No, that's not 100. Now let's go back to page 80 in your student's book. I want you to have a look at this picture on the top of the page. That's right. What can you see in this picture? There are 6 people at a party. That's right. Now I want your teacher to put you in pairs and with your partner for about 1 or 2 minutes, just describe what you can see in this picture. So 2 questions. What can you see in the picture? And what are these people doing? Are you ready? Off you go. Good. Now we are going to listen to a man and a woman talking about these people in the room. And you are going to write their names in these white boxes. In these white boxes. Can you see them? That's right. How many people are there again? 6. And how many boxes can you see? That's right, only 5. Ooh, how can it be possible? It's only possible because these 2 people, yes, that's right, they are a married couple. So you are going to write 2 names in this small box, okay? So just write with small letters. And what about the spelling? Sometimes it's a little bit difficult, I know, with the English names. So look at exercise number 2. This can help you with the correct spelling. You can find a list of these people's names right here in exercise number 2. So we have Paul, Sophie, Helena, Roger, Sam and Penny. Okay, so please listen carefully to the descriptions, okay? And while you are listening to the recording, please write their names in the correct boxes. Off you go.
Tape script 10.6. Who's who?
Oh dear, I don't know anybody. Who are they all?
Don't worry, they're all very nice. I'll tell you who everybody is. Can you see that man over there?
The man near the window?
Yes, that's Paul. He's talking to Sophie. He's a banker, very rich and very funny. He works in New York.
Wow, so he's Paul, okay. And that's Sophie next to him?
Yes, she's laughing at Paul's jokes. She's lovely. She's a professor at Bristol University. She teaches business studies.
And who's that woman on the left?
That's Helena. She's drinking champagne. She's a writer. She writes stories for children. They're excellent. A very nice lady.
And who's that man she's talking to?
Helena's talking to Roger. Roger's eating crisps. He's an interesting man. He's an art dealer. He works for the British Museum.
Really? Wow, what a job. So that's Paul and Sophie, Helena and Roger. Now, there are 2 more. Who are they?
They're Sam and Penny. They're looking at a photo on Sam's phone.
And what do they do?
They're designers. They make clothes for children.
Okay. So that's everybody. Thanks.
That's all right.
That's right. So now we are going to check your answers. Now please look at the screen and check if you have the right names in these white boxes in the picture. So we have from left to right, Penny, Sam, Helena and Roger, Paul and Sophie. Well done. And now we are going to listen again. Look at exercise number 2. This time you are going to complete a chart. You are going to answer 2 questions about each person. Question number 1. What is he or she doing? What verb tense is used in this question? That's right, the present continuous. So what we want to know is what that person, he or she, is doing right now at the time of speaking in this picture. What about the next question? Look at the next question. What does he or she do? What does he or she do? What does this mean? This is a present simple question, and it's about the person's job. Exactly. What's his job? What's her job? As simple as that. Okay? So be careful. Exactly. The first one is about what he or she is doing at the moment, and the second one is about that person's job. What they do in general, all the time, or sometimes, depending on their job. So the first one is already given as an example. We are going to listen to that and complete that one together. So listen carefully. Just look at the first one.
Script 10.6. Who's who?
Oh dear, I don't know anybody. Who are they all?
Don't worry, they're all very nice. I'll tell you who everybody is. Can you see that man over there?
The man near the window?
Yes, that's Paul. He's talking to Sophie. He's a banker, very rich and very funny. He works in New York.
Wow.
Wow. So look at the example sentences here. About Paul, this man, who is standing by the window. So what is he doing? He's talking to Sophie. That's what he's doing at the moment. But what does he do? He's a banker. He's a banker. What does banker mean? What does banker mean? Who can tell me? A banker is a person who works in a bank, and this person has a higher position in a bank. Okay? So that's his job, and he works in New York. Is he working right now? No, he isn't, but that's what he does in general. So that was about Paul. But before we move on with the listening, I'd like to make sure that you know the meaning of some more words. What about laugh? What does the verb laugh at? What does the verb laugh? To laugh at somebody or something mean. So what does it mean? Exactly when you make that ha-ha sound when somebody tells you something funny, like a joke, for example, that's when you have a good laugh. So a joke is a funny story, which I'm sure you all know. And what about a professor? Who is a professor? A professor is, for example, a teacher at university. Can you repeat it after me? Professor. Good. And what about business studies? Speaking of university, a person whose major is business at university studies business. So he's doing his business studies. And what about champagne? What is a champagne? Champagne is a kind of alcoholic drink. It's a kind of wine that people drink, especially at New Year's Eve. That's right. So, 2 more. I'd like to make sure you understand. Art dealer. Who is an art dealer? The second part, dealer, means a person who buys and sells things. And art, I'm sure you have heard about it before. Art, for example, all those paintings, drawings, sculptures, pictures that talented people make to express their feelings. And an art dealer is a person who sells and buys those things. Art dealer. And one more, a designer. Who is a designer? A designer is a person who imagines how something could be made and draws plans about that, makes plans, right? So that's a designer. For example, people can design clothes and then make them, yes? But first they draw some plans, and after that they make those clothes that we can buy from the shops. So now we are going to listen to the rest of the recording, and I want you to make notes. Okay, so listen carefully, and about each person you have to answer these 2 questions. What is he or she doing, and what does he or she do? You are going to need these words, okay, so you can look at the spelling just to make sure that you get them right. Are we ready? Off you go.
Oh, so he's Paul. Okay. And that's Sophie next to him.
Yes, she's laughing at Paul's jokes. She's lovely. She's a professor at Bristol University. She teaches business studies.
And who's that woman on the left?
That's Helena. She's drinking champagne. She's a writer. She writes stories for children. They're excellent. A very nice lady.
And who's that man she's talking to?
Helena's talking to Roger. Roger's eating crisps. He's an interesting man. He's an art dealer. He works for the British Museum.
Really? Wow, what a job. So that's Paul and Sophie, Helena and Roger. Now, there are 2 more. Who are they?
There's Sam and Penny. They're looking at a photo on Sam's phone.
And what do they do?
They're designers. They make clothes for children.
Okay. So that's everybody. Thanks.
That's all right.
Right. I hope you managed to take notes of a lot of information about these people. But before we check the answers, I want you to work in pairs. So I want your teacher to put you in pairs first and have a look at each other's notes. Okay? Let's check who remembered, who can remember more information and who managed to make notes of more information. So off you go. Good. I think you managed to help each other out at some points. So we are going to listen to the recording again, but I'm not going to stop it this time. So listen carefully, check your answers, and try to complete the missing boxes, okay? The missing information. Off you go.
Who's who?
Oh dear, I don't know anybody. Who are they all?
Don't worry, they're all very nice. I'll tell you who everybody is. Can you see that man over there?
The man near the window?
Yes, that's Paul. He's talking to Sophie. He's a banker, very rich and very funny. He works in New York.
Wow, so he's Paul. Okay. And that's Sophie next to him?
Yes, she's laughing at Paul's jokes. She's lovely. She's a professor at Bristol University. She teaches business studies.
And who's that woman on the left?
That's Helena. She's drinking champagne. She's a writer. She writes stories for children. They're excellent. A very nice lady.
And who's that man she's talking to?
Helena's talking to Roger. Roger's eating crisps. He's an interesting man. He's an art dealer. He works for the British Museum.
Really? Wow, what a job. So that's Paul and Sophie, Helena and Roger. Now, there are two more. Who are they?
They're Sam and Penny. They're looking at a photo on Sam's phone.
And what do they do?
They're designers. They make clothes for children.
Okay. So that's everybody. Thanks.
That's all right.
Well done. Now we are going to check your answers. Now please look at the screen and check your answers, everyone. I'm sorry, but there was not enough space for me to write the correct answers in the about their jobs. I hope you have all done this exercise very well. So good job, everyone. Now we can move on to the next exercise. Look at exercise number 3, right under the chart. That's right. This exercise is still about the same picture and about the same people. You are going to complete the 2 questions about the people. So, for example, in number 1, look at number 1. The answers are given in New York and Sophie. Where does Paul work? In New York. And who is he talking to? Sophie. So you are obviously going to have a look at the picture again, right? And look at all the answers in the chart in exercise number 2. Okay? So please complete the rest of the questions. There are 8 more questions. Look at the answers and look at all the information you have in exercise number 2 in the chart. Off you go. Before you check the answers from the screen, I'm going to ask you to work in pairs. So I want your teacher to put you in pairs again and check your answers together. Have a look at each other's answers before we check them together. Off you go. Now please look at the screen and check your answers. So in each case, there was one present continuous and one present simple about something that is happening at the moment and about something that happens in general. I hope you've done well. So now let's move on to exercise number 4, which is still about the present simple and the present continuous. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verbs: work, go, have, and do or make. That's right. So you will have to put these verbs in bold, the ones that I've just read, in the present simple or continuous. So read the sentences, read the incomplete sentences very carefully. Look at all the time expressions and everything in the sentence that can help you to decide whether you should use present simple or continuous. So, are you ready? Off you go. Good, but now I'm going to ask you to check your answers with your partner first again. So turn to your partner and look at each other's answers. Now please look at the screen and check your answers. I hope you haven't made any mistakes whatsoever. Because, for example, when you see, let me show you, at the moment in the sentence, then you know that what you need to use is the present continuous. That's right, because it's happening right now. What if you have every Friday in the sentence? Then you know that this is something that is a repeated action. It happens every Friday, once a week. Not at the moment, but every Friday. I always go to the cinema. And then we have usually. So then you know that this is again something that usually happens, not at the moment. I'm sorry, are you having lunch? I'll phone you back later. Right now, this is why the person says I'm sorry. And then again, if you find usually here, usually there, my mom usually makes the dinner, and my dad usually does the washing up. Okay? So well done everyone, good job. Now let's move on to exercise number 1 on page 81. Something's happening. Look at the 4 pictures in exercise number 1, and your task is to complete the sentences about the people and about what they are doing in the pictures here under the pictures. There are 4 sentences and there are 4 words in this box right above the pictures. Anything, something, nothing, or everything. So please complete the sentences on your own. Off you go. Now please look at the screen and check your answers. I'm sure this is not the first time when you have heard these words, anything, something, nothing, and everything. But if you look at this blue box, this grammar spot, this chart right under this exercise, we can do some revision about all these words starting with some, any, every, and no. So look at the chart and try to complete it. What are the different options? For example, something, somebody, and if you look at the rest of the chart in the 3rd line, what's missing from here? Somewhere. That's right, somewhere. So I want you on your own to complete the rest of the chart with the correct words. Off you go. Now please check your answers and make sure that you remember that all these words are written in 1 word, not 2, okay? Something, somebody, somewhere, anything, anybody, anywhere, everything, everybody, everywhere, and nothing, nobody, nowhere. Now please go to page 141 in your book. We are going to have a look at the grammar reference again. So look at 10.3 on page 141. Right, there are some rules we need to talk about that will make your job a lot easier when you want to use these words. So the rules are the same as for some and any. Look at here. As for some and any. Do you remember when you learned about the countable and uncountable words? Some and any. Some and any. That's right. So then you also remember that in positive sentences we use some. So it's going to be the same with something, somewhere, and someone. I'd like something to eat and somebody phoned you, for example. So in positive sentences, we use some. What about the negative sentences and the questions? In the negative sentences, we use any. That's right. I didn't go anywhere. I don't know anybody. And there's something else that's interesting about the use of any, because if you look at the negative sentence, you have the negative helping verb and anywhere, anywhere, anybody. So negative in the first half of the sentence and positive in the second part of the sentence. Look at the questions. What do we use in questions? In questions we can use, that's right, any, and also some, but not in all types of questions. What kind of questions can we use some in? Offers and requests. Offers, for example, would you like something to drink? And requests, for example, can you help me with an example maybe? Can I have something to drink, for example? This is a request when you ask for something. So questions starting with can I have something, or can I go somewhere, or can I meet someone? So these are requests, positive, negatives, and questions. What about some more rules down here? How about these ones? So you can ask the question, why can't I just say I don't go anywhere? You can say that. Or I didn't buy anything. Of course you can say that, but when you say I bought nothing, it makes it stronger. It's more emphatic. It's just a stronger form, okay? So the meaning is almost the same, but it's stronger. Or when you say, nobody loves me, nothing is cheap these days. We use them as the subject here. We use them as the subject here. Nobody loves me and nothing is cheap here. What about number 3? We use them in one-word answers. Where did you go? Nowhere. Who did you meet? Nobody. What did you buy? Nothing. So you didn't really have an interesting day, did you? What about number 4? We don't use two negatives, but I'm sure you have already known that by now. Number 4. We don't use two negatives. We don't say, I didn't see nobody, because that's actually a positive. Two negatives make a positive, but we don't say that. So I didn't see anybody, and nothing is easy. We don't say nothing isn't easy, because nothing is the negative here, right? So that's why we need a positive verb. And I didn't, we already have the negative helping verb here. I didn't see anybody. That's why we need the positive anybody, not nobody. Okay, so it's important to remember that in English we don't use two negatives. Right, I guess that's about the quick grammar reference. Let's go back to page 81 again. Now look at exercise number 2 right under the chart that we completed a few minutes ago. Number 2, your task is going to be to underline the correct word in each sentence. You are going to work on your own. And here's number 1, the example that is already given for you. I'm hungry. I want something or anything to eat. This is a positive sentence, so we know that in positive sentences we use some. Therefore, we need to use something and not anything. When do we use any again? That's right, in negative sentences and in questions. Right, so please look at the rest of the sentences and underline, like here, as it's shown, underline the correct word. Work on your own. Off you go. Now let's check your answers together. So let's see number 2. I can't find my phone anywhere. That's right, anywhere. And why? Is that the correct answer? Because this is a negative sentence. I can't find my phone anywhere. What about number 3? In this case, this is the subject. Everybody's enjoying the party. That's right. Everybody's enjoying the party. Do we use any in positive sentences? No, we don't. What about number 4? I don't know. This is a negative sentence, so I don't know anybody. Good. What about number 5? The lights are off. Nobody's at home. This is the subject and it's a negative sentence, but since the subject is already negative, that's why the verb is positive, because we don't have two negatives. You know that very well by now. What about number 6? My brother is so intelligent. He knows, this is a positive sentence, everything, because he's so intelligent, because then I can't say that he knows nothing. That's right. My intelligent brother knows everything. I hope all your answers are correct. Well done. Now I want your teacher to put you in pairs because you're going to practice together with your partner all these words in some conversations. Okay, but before we actually practice the conversations, you are going to complete these sentences. So look at exercise number 1 on the same page, up here, number 1. And the task is to complete the conversations with words from the boxes. So how many conversations are there? 1, 2, 3. And right above each conversation, you can find a white box with 4 words. Okay? So in pairs, work together, help each other, complete the missing words. Off you go. Okay, so now we are going to listen to these conversations. Please listen and check your answers.
10.7. Everything was too expensive. 1.
Did you buy anything at the shops?
No, nothing.
Why not?
Everything was too expensive.
What a pity.
But I bought something for you. Happy birthday.
Oh.
2.
Did you talk to anybody interesting at the party?
No, nobody.
Why not?
Everybody was dancing and the music was really loud.
Oh.
But I danced with somebody beautiful, a girl called Kate.
3.
Did you go anywhere on Saturday night?
No, nowhere.
Why not?
Everywhere was closed. There wasn't one club open.
That's incredible.
So next weekend I'm going somewhere more interesting.
Oh.
Good. I hope you haven't made any mistakes. And now I'm going to ask you to read out the conversations together with your partner, okay? So imagine that you are the people who are in these situations. So please read aloud, okay? And don't be afraid of playing with your voice, okay? Don't try to get a little bit musical, okay? Just like you heard in the conversations. Are you ready? So read them aloud with your partner. Off you go. And we have come to our last exercise today. So look at exercise number 3. Here on the same page. That's right. It's this one down here. In this exercise, we need to tick the correct sentence in each case. There are 5 different cases, so look at number 1. Let's do this one together as an example. Sentence number 1, anybody is on the phone for you. Or somebody is on the phone for you. Which is the correct answer? First of all, you need to see that this is a positive sentence. So then you remember that in positive sentences we use some. That's right. So that's why this is the one that we tick. Somebody's on the phone for you is the correct answer. So now please do the same with the rest of the sentences. Tick the correct answers. Okay? Off you go. Right, now please have a look at the screen and check your answers, whether you ticked the correct sentences. I really hope you did. Well done, everyone. Good job. So thank you for today. You thought it was the end of the lesson. No, it isn't. I still owe you with the homework. So let's see what the homework is for the next lesson, to do some more practice, to make sure that we have learned a lot today. Now please open your workbook on page 62. Page 62, that's right. We have already done the exercise on the left-hand side of the page. So now look at this one. Exercise number 5. Exercise number 5. Present simple or continuous. So you are going to complete the pairs of sentences using the verb once in the present simple and once in the present continuous. Okay? So you are going to complete all these sentences with the correct form of the verbs. Good. And then please go to page 63. That's right. Here you can find some pictures, 1, 2, 3, 4, pictures of 4 people, and there are some questions you are going to answer with either present simple or the present continuous. That's right. In the third part of this exercise, you are going to underline the correct verb form. Exercise number 3. Actually, it's the third part of the exercise number 5. So please underline the correct verb form. And then exercise number 6. In this exercise, number 6, you are going to complete the sentences with am, is, or are. So the correct form of the verb to be, or do, or does, don't, or doesn't. What are these? That's right, the helping verbs in positive and negative helping verbs in the present simple, or maybe main verbs. You never know. Not all of them, but do or does could be, right? You will see. So please complete the sentences. And then the last part of your homework is on page 64. This is going to be a reading activity, a reading comprehension exercise. Look at number 7. Have you ever heard about Twitter? Tweeting? Maybe you have read about it on the internet, or maybe even some of your friends are members of this social networking service. So look at exercise number 7. Read the text about the social networking service called Twitter. The task is to decide whether these sentences here, 10 sentences, are true or false about this text. So task number 1 is obviously going to be actually to read the text. Read the text carefully and please don't worry about the new words, because I'm sure you are going to find some new words, but try to find out the answer just from the context, okay? Because this is a very good way to practice how to understand a text without knowing every single word. Because if you read a newspaper article, for example, or if you start reading a book in English, it often happens that you don't understand every single word. But you still have to try to get the general idea, okay? So please read it carefully and try not to look up the new words in the dictionary. And still try to decide whether these sentences on the left-hand side of the page are true or false. Okay? So that's the homework in the workbook. Here I made some notes for you, so you can ask your teacher to stop the recording if you want to copy that. If not, if it's okay, then we can move on, because unfortunately we have one more part of your homework. Tomorrow we are going to read about a text. Tomorrow we are going to read a text. Next time we are going to read a text about living in space, about the International Space Station. So you are going to find a lot of new words, and I want to make sure that you will understand the text clearly. So I want you to have a look at the screen. I put a list of words from the text here for you to check before the class. Okay? So please copy these words and look them up in your dictionary. Make sure you check the meaning of all these words before the next lesson. Okay? If not, then you will find it very, very difficult the next time. Okay, so please help me, help you, and then we can have a really nice class about the International Space Station. It sounds very exciting, doesn't it? I'm sure you will find it interesting. So that's it for this lesson. This was lesson 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.